So let us now execute some PowerShell scripts. Let's go to Windows PowerShell admin. Okay. And you can see something as such has already given an error, given that our scripts may not have been loaded properly. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to clear it right now, but we're going to come back to it at a later time. I'm going to do CD here. Once I'm in the C directory, I'm going to do new item scripts type directory, and then I'm going to move into the scripts folder, which is presently empty. I will now get my execution policy because execution policy, and presently it is restricted. I need to set it to unrestricted. Which will actually go ahead and set the policy to unrestricted as such. Now, when I get my execution policy, I can see it has now changed to unrestricted. Now with this, let us go ahead and let us try to create our first script. And to do that, let us move into the scripts folder. So I will, inside the scripts folder, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open and go ahead and have a separate, in the separate directory, we are going to go ahead and we are going to save our scripts. So to write the scripts again, we can go into the PowerShell integrated PowerShell environment where we can develop scripts at our end. So let me run it as an administrator. And here I can go ahead and I can have an interface whereby I can write my scripts as well as let me move them inside the scripts folder. And here I can start writing my first script. So let me say I want to write a script called write host hello world. And it will go ahead and I can save it inside the scripts folder as my script, and it will be saved as a, let me put my script. It will be saved as a PowerShell file. Let me now run it. And when I run it, I can display PowerShell. In fact, I can go back to my prompt and again run my script here to actually go ahead and show the results. Okay. So let's now use the PowerShell environment to go ahead and declare as well as run a couple of programs. In fact, we can use different things. So for example, I can go ahead and I can run commands on PowerShell. Here I can say echo $host, and I can go ahead and I can see the details of my host. I can actually say write output $host. Similarly, I can say write host $host, and all of them will actually go ahead and give me details pertaining to the host variable. So $host actually goes ahead and gives me details of my virtual machine here. I can actually retrieve one particular attribute out of this. So if I say just give me the details of the methods and the properties which are associated with this host, it will give me the list of the methods and the properties or the attributes associated with this host variable. I can actually go ahead and I can also choose. So for example, if you can see host has name, version, quite a few things that the host shows. I can actually go write host dot and I can set, say, for example, I want to extract only the name. Sorry, name. It will give me the details of the name, or the version. It will only give me the details of the version. Similarly, I can actually create my own variable. So say, for example, I say set variable name A and value this is cool. And here I can then ask for this variable to be shown. All right, so I can say echo $A. Similarly, I can actually set a variable by simply marking, say, $B is equal to, and then I can say this is cooler and easier. Similarly, I can go ahead and I can say echo $B to show the variables. I can in fact say, for example, have echo, I can say $C is equal to $A plus $B. And even though these both are strings, when I say echo $C, it will concatenate both these strings together. Similarly, I can actually go ahead and I can typecast this. So I can say integer $A is equal to 3. So I'm basically saying that please make this into an integer. Similarly, I'm going to say integer, which is typecasting, $B is equal to 7. Now, when I say $C is equal to $A plus $B, okay, and I say echo $C, it does go ahead and print the correct option here, okay. I can also set variables in such a way so that they cannot be typecasted or altered. For example, if I say set variable name D value, this is cool, and there I say option constant. And when I mark something as constant, if I say echo $D, you can see it will print that this is cool. But if I try to now alter the variable, if I say $D is equal to, this is a new value, it will not change because I had marked it as a constant. Okay, it will not change because I marked it as a constant. I can also declare certain arrays. For example, I can have $E is equal to, this is very cool. Okay, so I can go ahead and I can have, an array like thing here. Here, if I do echo $E, it will print the whole array. Else, I can retrieve particular elements out of this. So I can say echo $E. Okay, similarly, I can say it with 1, 2, 3, 4. There is nothing 4. All right, so it will not change. Similarly, I can do echo. In fact, before that, I can also modify an individual element out of this. So I can say this is not. Okay, and then I can say echo to see the whole string. All right, so I can go ahead and I can use them as per my requirements. Similarly, I can go ahead and I can use certain protected meta characters, and to do that I can actually protect them differently. For example, I can have echo my home is $home. So it will give me the details of where my actual home directory is. I can actually go ahead and I can use a single quote. And when I do that, if you notice, the single quote will not read this value as a meta character. All right, so it will interpret it as a usual word. I need not actually put it right here. I can actually go ahead and remove this here, put only a single meta character here, and this will actually go ahead and also give me something similar. Okay, so what did I do? I put only one single meta character here, and I'm trying to run the echo. And if you notice, it is telling me where did this end. All right, so it is already offering. So just give me a minute. I'm going to again move this, and instead of the single quote, I can use this. And if I do that, if you notice, it has gone ahead and it has interpreted or changed it differently. So I can change the way the display works by going ahead and using different types of, in this case, single quotes. Okay, or this particular quote is called a back quote, by the way. Okay, now I can also go ahead and I can change the color of my prompt. So I can say, for example, say write host red on blue. Sorry, write host space red on blue. Okay, here I can have the foreground color. red with the background color of blue. And you can see that I have written red on a blue background color. I can do the same. Say, for example, I can say write host cyan on white. I can say foreground color cyan, background color white. Okay, so I can go ahead and I can change this. All right, so I can say sign. All right, similarly, I can say write host, and I don't even need to write these full sentences. I can just write -b, which will be background color, and -f, which will be the foreground color. Okay. I can also go ahead and I can see the complete list of these colors. I can say help write host, and I can go ahead and I can open and see the whole list that I have. Because I can see the complete list if I wanted to. Okay. Now let us go ahead and let us also talk about the Windows management instrumentation. Okay, looks like it is not really connected to the internet, but okay. Now let's talk about the Windows management instrumentation. And here we can open our command prompt and execute different types of commands. So let me open as an administrator. And here I am going to go ahead and I'm going to just give me a minute. I'm going to change the font. And here we are going to go ahead and we are going to explore certain WMI commands. Okay, so we are going to explore certain WMI commands. So we are going to first explore GWMI Win32 _ BIOS. Okay, oh, all right, so GWMI. Okay, all right, so we need to first set this up. And to do that, let us go ahead and let us set it up over here. So I'm going to just do PowerShell. Okay, now let me do GWMI Win32 BIOS. And when I do that, I can extract the information about the Windows 32 BIOS. All right, so I can extract information from all these. So similarly, just like I have done that, I can have different types of information which I can extract from the Windows instrumentation. So say, for example, I can go ahead and I can extract information. Let me do CLS. So let me say, for example, do GWMI Win32 BIOS. If I want to go ahead and I want to extract something from the processor, I can also go ahead and I can extract it here. I can extract something from the processor, and I can see the methods and the properties which are associated with this. I can go ahead and I can extract something from the computer system. Okay. Similarly, I can go ahead and I can also simply just extract particular information that I'm looking for. So say something over here, and I can go ahead and I can retrieve information that I wish to get. In line with that, I can also go ahead and I can use, instead of computer system, I could have logical disk. And I could also go ahead and I could have disk drive information. And I could go ahead and I could have shares. If there is a share, I could extract information about that. Or I could extract information about all right. Okay, so just like we have share, I can actually go ahead and I can also query particular information from the desktop, as well as my network adapter configuration. Okay. Now I can also query more than one directory at the same time. So I can say something like GWMI query. Mhm. Mhm. Hmm. Okay, let me look for some other queries. Okay, so I can go ahead and I can also have select star from Win32 share. Okay, and I can go ahead and I can also share other info. In fact, I can actually just extract again all the properties and the methods which are associated with it. And I can go ahead and I can also have GWMI, and I can actually run query where I can say, for example, select name, path, allow maximum from Win32 share, where the name, okay, is equal to D, and I can extract information pertaining to that. All right, so I can go ahead and I can have in fact, I can run different types of these queries. So I can say, for example, run a query where GWMI query select name from Win32 share. Okay, and I can see that information, and in fact, I can sort it by name. Okay, so I can go ahead and I can sort it by name. Okay, and in fact, I can do other queries like GWMI Win32 share filter name is equal to okay. So let me again write another C dollar. Okay, and here you can go ahead and you can retrieve information from here. Similarly, I have GWMI Win32 logical disk filter drive type is equal to 3, and I can go ahead and I can retrieve information from for the logical disks. All right, so I can write different types of queries. Say, for example, even here I can say, give me measure object property free space minimum and maximum. All right, so similarly, I can then follow it up with a select object with the property of free space with maximum and minimum. Okay, so I think that would be okay. All right, for mat table. Yep. Okay. All right. Now, just like we have done this, now let us go ahead and let us start to see how we can utilize our PowerShell related comparisons as well as decision constructs. So to do that, let me go back. In fact, I can use the same construct, but let me go back here and let me clear it out. Let us go ahead and let us define a variable. Let me say $A is equal to 5. Let me say $B is equal to, say, a Toodles. Okay. Okay. And it is saying, no, you need to go ahead and you need to convert it into a character type. So let me convert it into a character type or string type in this case. Let me mark it as string. So I'm basically typecasting it. Once I've typecasted it, it will go ahead and it will permit me to do this. Okay. So similarly, I can go ahead and I can say, so since we know echo $A, we know echo $B, we can see that they cannot be compared. Yet I can go ahead and I can say, what is $A is equal to $B? It is false. Can I say $A is equal to 5? This is true. Can I say not, which is the exclamation sign? Hmm. Mhm. Okay. All right. So then let's try to do another one. So this is $A, and let me say less than 3. And yeah, because the truth is $A is less than 3. That is false because 5 is greater than 3. And if you say not, it will go ahead and. Okay. Similarly, I can go ahead and I can also say $B is equal to Toodles. Sorry, I think it is Toodles. Okay, and it is true. Okay, if I say it is Toodles, that is also true. Okay, I can also say, I can also have compound statements. So the compound statement would be something like $A less than 10 and $A greater than 3. Okay, and I can go ahead and I can see that it is true. So that is very, very right. It is true for this. Okay. Now, similarly, I can go ahead and I can write an actual script which may have certain if-else statements. So let's go ahead and let us try to see if we can write a if-else statement as well as a switch statement and then try to examine how the code would look like. So for this, let us go back into our integrated learning environment, integrated development environment. And here, let us go ahead and let us first make a small a query. Let me say, I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to say dollar object CPU is equal to get WMI object. So you can see already it is flashing for me that this is how the object should be, Win32 processor. Okay, now I will say if dollar object CPU dot architecture is equal to 0, is equal to 0, then curly bracket, this is an x86 architecture. Okay. Else if dot architecture is equal to 5, this is an ARM architecture. Okay. Else if dollar obj CPU dot architecture is equal to 9, we can in fact copy this line, we can just keep marking it. This is an x64 architecture. Else this is an alien architecture. Okay, so we can go ahead and we can create this. Next, let us go ahead and let us save this script. And then let us go ahead and execute this script. And when we do that, it has identified that this is an x64 architecture. Okay, when we do that, you can see this is an x64 architecture. But this looked very, very difficult to go ahead and even write. So many else ifs. Can we replace this with an easy switch? Yes, we can. So let's replace it with an easy switch instead of so many multiple options. Let's, instead of having so many else if, let us replace it with an easy switch. We are going to now just make a switch statement. I'm going to just move it below. In fact, we can put a comment. When we put a comment means it will no longer be executed, but it will continue to remain. And you can see that it also changes the color. Okay, let us go ahead and let us use a switch statement to be able to achieve the same thing. Here I will do switch dollar obj CPU architecture, and it has already identified this for me. Now here below the switch, open the curly bracket. If the value of the switch is 0, basically this is the line that we need to write. So I'm going to just copy it here. Okay. Similarly, if the value is 5, it is ARM architecture. I think I have by mistake put 2. So it should be only one space. Similarly, if the value is 9, and finally, if none of these values fits, I will put default should be this is alien architecture. I will close this up with another bracket here. I'm going to save this here. Once I save it, I can run it, and you can see it will go ahead and give me the similar type of information. All right. So it will give me same type of information. Just like I have done this, I can also go ahead and I can use multiple different kinds of loops. And the loops will further allow me to go ahead and extract information such as, so let's go ahead and let's try out a couple of loops. Let me go ahead and let me open a new one. So I can say right now, this is fine, but let's create a new script. In the new script, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, for example, run a for each. So I can say first and foremost, let me say for each $I in args get child item $I where object dollar underscore length is greater than 10. Okay. Sort object based on the name property. Okay. I can then save it. So I can say save. It will open over here. Let me say my script 2. My script 2. Okay. Let me save it. Let me run it. Oh, it has given some issue. Okay, let us just change this. So first and foremost, I could already see that there was some issue here. Let us actually remove this from here. Okay, because I think this should not be curly. This should have been, this should not be, this should be curly. Let us save it and run it again. And this time it has run because I'm inside a folder where the script may not be appropriately running. Let me see if it is less than 10. Let me try to run it now. Okay. Oh, it is not going to retrieve anything. Okay. Let's go into another folder because I think that would be the better way to go ahead and run this. Otherwise, it is not going to run. Let me move to cd dot dot. But let me run. So let me do dot. Let me run it over here. Let me see what happens. Okay. So it doesn't actually run here because everything is actually greater than that. So let's take another example, which may be a little bit better. Let me run this with another example. Okay. So let me say get service. So get service will be the correct way. Okay. This may not give the right result. So let me say get service, because get service will go ahead and will be able to loop through without any challenges. All right. Or maybe let's take a simple example. Let's do for $I is equal to 1. $I is less than 5. $I plus plus. And then I can, oh, where is it writing? Oh, it didn't write. Oh, for, once again, $I is equal to 1. $I is less than or equal to 5. $I plus plus, or maybe it should be plus plus. We close it. And then I'm going to say write host $I, and then I'm going to close it. And let me just keep a small indentation to show that this is there. Let me save it and let me run it. And when I do that, you can see the script for works comfortably. Okay. So you can see the script for is going to be working comfortably. All right. All right. So once I have done that, let us now go ahead and let us do maybe one more script. And this time, let us go ahead and let us see which are the services which are, working or not working. Okay. And But before we do that, let's do another for one. Let's do another for. So say, for example, I want to know which are the IP addresses which are allotted in my network. I can use the for statement to do that. Now let me do that. For that, let me say, for example, let me do dollar internal network. Okay. Or maybe not this one. Let us do something which actually is able to show me multiple values. Maybe, in fact, now that we have done for, let us do something which is relating to the do. All right, because we haven't done do. So let's do use the do command for this. So let us say dollar random is equal to new object system dot random. And here I will say dollar I is equal to 1. And I can say do dollar random dot next. Okay, all right. So let me say, actually it should be random. That's what I was thinking. Random dot next 1, 1000. So we just want the number should be randomly chosen from here. Dollar I plus plus. Okay. And this you should be doing, sorry, while dollar I is equal to I is less than or equal to 10. Okay. All right. So I think that sounds fair. I will just close it. Let's try to run it. Yes. And you can see that we have gone ahead and we have just randomly printed some over here. Okay. Let us in fact change this to say, for example, $0. And when we do that, let us save it and run it again. And you can see now less numbers. Okay. So we can go ahead and we can change our script according to what our requirements are. Okay. So let me stop here.